Hello everybody, Tornado Soup here. So today we're going to look once more at some really great and really weird comic book covers. I could get into it more, but you can watch the first installment in this series. I'll put the link in the corner. You can click on it either right now or after the video is done. You can watch that one. And without any further ado, let's get right into it right now. Okay, so for this first one, we've got an issue of Challengers of the Unknown. I don't really know what about this one called out to me. It was, it's a pretty standard cover with, nice dramatic Jack Kirby art. It's pretty appealing, and then there's that face. There's that giant monster's face, and I don't know what to make of that. It's just weird. Makes me feel kind of uncomfortable, and I don't know why. And I don't know what to think about it yet. It's staring, and it's got fire beams coming out of his eye. I don't know what it is. It's like a giant blue mole rat sort of thing, and they're all terrified of it, so I assume real life it would be even more terrifying. It's just, Jack Kirby is known for these creative and threatening monsters, and this is creative and threatening. It's just so weird. But honestly, I like it. It's a fun cover. It's kind of bizarre, which I think makes me like it even more. And now for another classic Jack Kirby cover with Don Rickles on it. Apparently Jack Kirby was a huge fan of Don Rickles and just decided to put him into a few issues of Jimmy Olsen, which, I mean, I understand. It's just, it's just weird seeing Don Rickles on the cover of a Superman comic book and Goody Rickles. It's very confusing. I read the issue, though. It's great. For some reason, Jack Kirby was able to write a very convincing Don Rickles. That's not something I would have expected at all, but it's something that happened. Overall, the issue's pretty fun, and the cover is it's bizarre. Just having Don Rickles there is bizarre. All of the Don Rickles on that is bizarre, but it's a fun cover. I don't know what else to say about it. Now we move on to an issue of Comics Cavalcade, which was a series in the 1940s starring Wonder Woman and the Golden Age versions of Flash, otherwise known as Jay Garrick, and Green Lantern, otherwise known as Alan Scott. Together they would fight evil and ride carnival rides with animals that look like they're on some sort of drug. I also don't really know what to make of this cover. It's entertaining, to say the least, but why are they on the carnival ride? I haven't read this issue yet, and I probably will soon, but why are they on the carnival ride? What? They're so happy? Is this a children's ride? Did they steal? In my head now, I'm just creating the image of these three superheroes budging in line in front of a bunch of small children who really want to ride this ride, and they're just not allowed to because these grown adults won't let them. It's weird and doesn't really want to make me read the issue. I understand that overall it was created to, draw in younger readers, but it's just strange. Outside of that context, it's strange. Overall, this next cover is fairly normal. It's got quite a good setup. It's interesting. It's got this sort of alluring factor as you really want to find out what's going on. Who could actually do all of this stuff to the Dark Knight? Then you start reading that caption, and it starts out normal. One by one, Batman's most valuable possessions have been spirited away. the Batmobile, Batboat, Batarang, even Robin. Is Robin now one of Batman's possessions? Does he own Robin? What? This caption calls into question everything I know about the relationship. It just messes everything up. I don't understand Batman and Robin at all anymore. Robin is on the same level as the Batmobile and the Batboat. The only thing worse is if compared to the Whirly Bat, because clearly the Whirly Bat is better than Robin. Overall, this cover is great, and it's very entertaining, but Batman doesn't own Robin, I think. I don't know for sure, though, because this cover has made me question that. Now, these two aren't really all that weird. They're kind of just the normal sort of weird cover gag that every issue of Archie has. What I want to point out here, though, is they're like the same gag twice, and the first one is issue number 311, and the next one is issue number 312. They basically used the same cover gag twice in a row. Like I said, the covers themselves aren't that weird, but it's weird that they repeated them in such a way. Archie dressed up for a sport and then trying to kiss some girl. I can't... The second one, I'm not sure about. The first one's obviously Betty, but I'm not really sure about the second one. Either way, it's just kind of weird that they did it twice in a row, especially since it's not like a great gag. But I also know that this is kind of the general theme of a lot of Archie covers, so it's not a huge surprise, but it's weird, and so it fits in this series that I've got going. And now, sticking with the Archie theme, this one is, again, not all that weird, but is she just wearing a box? That's the thing that really drew my attention. Is she just wearing a box with balls in it? Guess the balls and then get a kiss. It's a weird setup. Again, just kind of like an average Archie cover gag, only this time on Betty. Because there's a huge difference in the series. One is about Archie trying to get Betty, and Betty is about Betty trying to get Archie. It's very confusing. I definitely prefer these to Riverdale, but Riverdale's at least more straightforward. It's everybody trying to not get murdered. It's just weird, though. Is she wearing a box? Did she just make the conscious decision to go out in the morning wearing just a box? Where did she get said box? I've never been to a clothing store that just sold a box to wear and then put balls in. Is this something that used to happen? Were there just a bunch of people walking around on the beach wearing boxes with balls in them? Seriously, is that something that happened? Tell me down in the comments if you've ever seen somebody walking around with a box on. Like just a normal person, not like a performer. I'm sure there's performers that walk around with boxes on, but like she's, like middle class, normal American, not a performer or anything, and she's just wearing a box. I don't know why this is weirding me out so much, but why is she wearing a box? Why? Anyway, let's move on from Archie for now and go to Marvel's classic What If series. Now, this cover, again, isn't all that weird. It's just kind of ironic, featuring the idea of what if Spider-Man's clone had lived. And if you follow Spider-Man lore all that much, then you know that his clone did live. Now, I'm not entirely sure about the publication date of this issue. Pretty sure it was early to mid-80s, judging by the art and when the series was going on. And in the 90s, they brought the clone back as Ben Reilly, and it got very complicated from there. It's just kind of ironic that they told the same story in an issue of What If in probably about 22 pages, and in the 90s, when they tried to tell the exact same story, there was no other initial premise other than Spider-Man's clone lived. They added a bunch of other stuff on, but from the get-go, it was Spider-Man's clone lived. It took them like 2 years, using multiple different Spider-Man series. Like, there was Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, just plain Spider-Man, Sensational Spider-Man. They were all using it, all focusing on that storyline. They couldn't tell it. And I mean, the cover itself is pretty cool. It's, got great artwork, and it's kind of moody and foreboding, and nice work of shadows and stuff, but it's ironic, and I love irony. And so, it landed here. And also, it is just a good cover. Finally, we go to one we just love. The intensity of it, the emotion behind it. I understand why this storyline is controversial. It means so much. It was the first real major death in a comic book besides someone dying in the origin story. You had the Waynes dying in Batman's origin. You had all of Krypton dying in Superman's. You had Uncle Ben in Spider-Man. But Gwen Stacy was the first time that a major character actually died, that a superhero really lost, and the ramifications were felt for years to come. And this cover just perfectly encapsulates everything about that. Spider-Man's just sheer anger is palpable. He's ready to kill the Green Goblin. There's no doubt about it. Even though this is Spider-Man, even though this is the hero that would never cross that line, there is no doubt that he would be willing to take a life here. It shows Spider-Man at his lowest point ever, and Green Goblin at probably his highest point. And it's all perfectly shown and memorialized in this one cover. Really, I don't know that there's anything else you can ask for from a comic book cover. Everything you need to know is right there. And that's all we have for today. I'll probably be doing more of these, though. They're kind of fun to do, and they're pretty easy to put together, really. So, makes for more consistent content, which I've been wanting to do for a while. If you have any ideas on comic book covers that you would like me to see me talk about, go ahead and put them down in the comment section. I've noticed that there's not a lot of weird Marvel covers. A lot of them are DC, and I would really like to talk more about Marvel ones too. So, and I mean, there's a lot of good Marvel covers too, obviously, but they're not as weird as DC. DC just has some really absurd things from, late Golden Age, early Silver Age. So, if you have any Marvel covers specifically, then I would love to see those, but any cover is good. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. You know the deal. The bell. Give the bell a nice little high five. And if the bell is lonely, it doesn't, the bell needs to be appreciated. It doesn't get appreciated. It doesn't really have any friends. It used to be friends with the subscribe button, but recently YouTube has been pushing them in different directions, and it's really tragic tale. Just let the bell know that you're there for it. And the subscribe button too. It doesn't have its good friend of the bell anymore, and it still gets along with the like button. But the dislike button is just coming in between them too much. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway, thank you for watching, if you've actually gotten to this point. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Have a good day, and goodbye, everybody.